so that we can start. Can we start today's session? Yeah, okay. So I think you had ample time to go through the resources. Yes. So there were two books actually shared. I hope that you would have gone through it. Okay. Let us start today's session. So we are starting with our module guide, Learning Outcome A. Okay. So before we start the last session's feedback and any queries you can ask. So based on the feedback, there were two queries. One was related to why you should write your assignment uniquely. Okay. Should we actually, there should be an emphasis of writing an assignment uniquely. So that was the query that was put forward. Yes, your assignment should be unique. Remember, it is not like how we learn and how we did in our schooling that no, writing same answers. Concept, remember, will be same, but each one's presentation will differ when we were studying in the school. Similarly, when you're writing, each teacher's presentation style is going to different, will vary, and also their learners will be different. Okay. There are different features that we will have to look at when we are looking at our learners. So that is the reason we ask you to do your writings and your assignments uniquely so that it is not going to be same. Okay. Please understand, even though you may be handling the same subject, you may be handling the same class, but the learning that you get and the way you teach will be differing from the teacher who is handling the same segment. Then there was one more question on differences between cognition and metacognition. So today we will be dealing in detail about cognition and metacognition. So that time, if you have still queries, please do ask me. I'll give a better clarity on that. And those who have got your login to the Cambridge portal, please keep your credentials also ready. I'll just show you how to access the portal. We will not be uploading anything now. Once your assignment, everything is done, it's approved, okay? Then you will be uploading it into the portal. And then from there also reviews will happen and then it will be finally sent. A green signal will be given to upload to Cambridge, okay? So just how to access it, I will just show you today. So what is that we are going to deal with today? Explain the understanding of learning and how people learn. So the learning outcome encompasses of 5 key questions. So this is what we will be understanding today. What is your personal understanding of the term learning and how people learn? What is your understanding of major theories of learning, behaviorism, cognitivism, constructivism, and humanism? How does an understanding of acquisition and participation model of learning help you to teach and your students to learn? What is the relationship between active learning and theory of constructivism? Why do teachers need an understanding of the concept of metacognition? So these are the key questions that we will be answering today. Are all of you having a problem of hearing to me? Because for me, volume is showing that.
No, ma'am, we can hear you.
Okay, Parveen, then you will have to check your system connectivity. Okay. So these are the key questions. You need not note down these key questions. It's already present in your module guide. Okay, so each questions it is answered also. I mean, what you have to write as answers is also given. So, yeah. So the first activity of today will be read about how children learn from the resource, how people learn. Okay, I've given the page numbers also. So if you're looking at the PDF header, it will be 91. But if you're looking at the textbook page number, it is 79. Okay, I've given both the page numbers, 79 to 113 or 91 to 125. Okay. Reflect upon your personal understanding of learning happening in your class. Was it participatory? Was it acquisitional? So what is the difference between the two terms? Can anyone say? What is meant by just the English meaning? I'm not asking about the details. The English meaning of what is meant by participatory, what is meant by acquisition. Just the lay English meaning of the words. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am.
Ma'am, participatory means they research, they find out about it, and then they come to a conclusion. And acquisition means they take whatever is given to them,
Okay.
a ready-made form.
Okay.
I
Okay,
see.
ma'am. Yeah. Alicia? Yes, Alicia.
Ma'am, participatory is nothing but they will involve like hands-on experience and all. They'll involve in
Yes.
something and they will learn. Whereas acquisition is we will teach and they will gain the knowledge. Or if somebody is teaching, we will gain the knowledge. That is called acquisition.
Very true. Very true. Yes. Yes. Thank you, Alicia. Yes, others can continue reading. Saujanya. Yes, Saujanya.
Ma'am, I think participatory includes a group here, whereas acquisition, it might be a individual goal.
Participatory. Saujanya,
Ma'am, your voice.
can you repeat what you said? Can you repeat what you said?
Ma'am, I think here participatory includes everyone in the class, participatory, whereas here the acquisition refers to an individual goal, a person, if we are aiming towards one person, so that might be individual goal.
Acquisition relates to individual, you're saying?
Yes,
Okay.
might be.
Okay.
Participatory
Okay.
includes
We'll
everyone.
get back to that. We'll get back to that. Now you can just
Ma'am, could you
read,
please
and
tell the page number, ma'am?
I have shared it in the chat box. Can you see that? I have shared it in the chat box.
Yes, ma'am.
There is a, remember from now on, there is a reading document that will be given because some of them will be books. I understand you may not be able to read through it completely. So books, if it's unless until mandated, there will be page numbers given for your reading. Yeah, you can start answering. You can start answering if you have started reading.
Ma'am, you're in mute.
Sudha ma'am, you're in mute, Sudha ma'am. I think she's speaking to somebody else then. Please carry on with your activity.
Sorry, actually there was a call, so that's the reason. Yeah, you can actually start answering, responding to the questions, or you want an oral answer, you can start orally responding.
Arvind, are you there?
Yeah, Sudha ma'am, can I say orally?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, ma'am, as I'm dealing with the pre-primary PP1 children, so here we have both participatory and the equation-based learning. Like children will be actively participating in hands-on learning, and everything will be like storytelling or social interaction, like where we communicate with them with the outside environment with certain concepts, and it will be like play-based learning, ma'am. So here they have to participate in the games, songs, and art and everything. So here both cognitive and social and emotional skills will be developed. And also children will have that curiosity and they collaborate with each other. They'll have the group activities in finishing their topics. So here the participatory will be there as well as the equation based also. Here the children will come from different languages. Then here they learn the language, numbers, and coordination like fine motor skills, gross motor skills in the pre-primary level. So like children will be observing listening to the stories and songs, and then they'll learn how to interact with the teachers and also the friends. So here they learn through observation, like literacy and the numeracy skills and phonics, like jolly phonic rhymes, counting numbers through games and patterns map. So here both they'll have, both of participatory and acquisition.
So my question was, where do you think acquisition was happening? Where do you think participatory was happening? Where did you observe that, which is better?
Ma'am, actually it will be, the observatory will be, acquisition will be better because children will enjoy. However, ma'am, certain things that if they participate, they'll be more confident. Like activities, games, when it comes with numbers and this, they'll be more confident because most of the children will have this mirror image issues. When they see, no, they feel like both are the same. Unless and until they play, they'll get to know exactly what is correct. So certain things, like even if it was an EVS, general awareness concepts, their observatory, like we show them models, we show them audio, AV room will take them. So the children will be related to the outside environment with the general what they see around them, and then they correct. So there they'll have the acquisition. When it comes with the numbers, more of participatory, like activity based, will be more advantage for them.
Okay. Now, I just wanted a little bit of clarification from you. You said that play is involved. When they are playing, they will understand. Does it come under acquisition or does it come under participatory?
Playing, it will come in the participatory only, no, ma'am.
Participatory, okay, because you told it as acquisition. That is the reason I asked.
Play-based learning will be in the activity, hands-on learning only. It's play means doesn't mean that only with the concept, even with the gross motor skills and fine motor skills also we develop them in the pre-primary. So it comes under participatory.
Right, ma'am. Yeah. Oh, anyone else? 1 minute, I've got answers here. Okay, Veena ma'am says early childhood is mainly acquisitional. Chaitanya says participatory and acquisition. Neelam, I'm not asking what is participatory, what is acquisition. I'm asking in your classes, where do you observe acquisition happening? Where do you observe participatory happening? And which do you think is better? Okay, yeah. Anyone else would like to go ahead? Shravanti gave the good start. Anyone else would like to go ahead? Yes, Neelam. Yes.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Ma'am, participatory means, suppose like I take science, I give them an activity of doing an experiment or something. So they participate in the learning of the experiment and they learn about, suppose, indicators, what are the color changes of acid, base. So that is what they are learning using the experiment. Accusational means when they are doing the experiment, in the same time, they are learning how to collaborate, how to plan the experiment, how to do the tabulations. So in the process of learning about indicators, they're acquiring other knowledge, like how to tabulate things. So that is acquisitional, ma'am.
Okay, so how is it you in your classes, what is happening and which do you think is better in your classes when it comes to learning?
So, ma'am, I feel it is both. They should participate in a learning and also they should acquire the other skills while doing the learning with participation.
Okay, okay, okay. Which is better approach do you think?
Participatory, ma'am, because they'll be actively involved.
Okay, okay. Yes, Neelam, fine. Yes, Sharmila, yourself.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good
So,
morning.
regarding the participatory and acquisitory learning, both I think have its own pros and cons. So, where I have seen in my classes, the participatory learning is like when I have given them some group projects. So, they will do the research and they will find, I'll just tell them, I'll form the group and I'll tell them you have to do the project. So, then they themselves do the research and finding the title and the process of how it have to go, everything. So in group projects, when I'm giving, I think the participatory learning is there. And the class discussions, if I want to start the topic or if they want to start some extended from what they have learned, when we are generally we will give class discussions, or if at all I'm giving role play or anything like if they have to do some presentations on the topic that connecting with the real life scenario, there the participatory learning is taking place, wherein acquisitory learning takes place is like lecture method, like when we are explaining a very new concept to them or just giving them an idea, or like that it is going on, or, where they have to remember certain things like formula. In those cases I think the acquisitory learning is going on.
Okay. Yeah. So which do you think in your classes is more preferable?
I feel participatory play, if they are doing by with their hands-on learning, I think they will learn it more and they may look it like interesting and discussion. So I feel participatory learning is way good, but at some point we have to guide them or support them, and wherein we have to pitch in for acquisitory learning also. So I can say
Okay.
percentage wise, like this is 75 and participatory is 75 and acquisitory can be 25% for the full proper learning and guiding can go.
Okay. Yes. Right. Fine. Yes, Kushi.
So almost ma'am has covered the points, ma'am. Same
Mm.
like so here participatory is like well
See, if
students
she
will
is covered, you can take an example and also give, because no, what I see is you're repeating from the textbook.
yes.
Remember, your writing should not be repeating from, it should be paraphrased, setting with your own examples and your own interpretation. So how do you interpret is more important.
So like
Okay.
for role play, for example, if I take the role play activity, ma'am, using the same dialogues from the story is like acquisition. Like maybe if I say that this is the dialogue and they have to use, but if they use their own dialogue and if they like change the ending or change like add on, then it can be participatory learning also. So in the
No, your role
acquisition,
play itself is participatory.
yeah,
It's not
participatory learning only,
acquisition.
ma'am. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that is
participatory
not.
learning.
No,
But
no. Acquisition doesn't come when you're doing the activity role play.
okay, so participatory learning, like they will role play it, but acquisition is like demonstrative. Like in the role play only, acting in the same way can be according to
No,
the
no.
textbook.
See, the moment you say role play, it comes into acquisition, sorry, participatory.
Participation,
Acquisition is, yeah, role
like
play activity, group discussion activity, your role play activity. Remember, all those come under, these are two streams. Okay. Acquisition, if I'm right, I think Veena ma'am said that no, kindergarten students actually, the early childhood development involves important simulation of environment, looking, listening, touching, very important part of learning for early learners. When you're talking of acquisition, acquisition of a language, remember, I can acquire a language by listening to it. But will I speak correctly or write correctly? When will I do it? When I start speaking it or when I actively involve in it. That is actually your participatory mode of learning. Understood? Acquisition is you're providing the knowledge or a website is providing knowledge. Yes, that is acquisition. They're reading about it. But are they 100% learning from that? That is not going to, even I wouldn't guarantee 50%, because unless until questions are made and interconnections are done, there will not be actual learning happening. So that is where you get participatory coming into the picture. Okay. Yes, Revati.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Ma'am, in acquisition, the example which I written is when we teach them grammar or something, there is this learning happening by vocabulary increases there, reading skills. That is, they acquire knowledge, they observe the knowledge, and it is like, I feel it's like a root memorization, ma'am. Like,
yes,
it can
yes.
be for math also, the formulas, the tense rules and everything that comes under acquisition. Participation is where they involve in, as you said, it's a collaboration, interactive. For example, group discussion, role plays, and also can it be also peer review and applying the concepts, ma'am?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that is a difference I feel. And both are equally good, is what I feel, ma'am. Both the approaches are equally good.
Yeah, right. Yes, ma'am. Manjari, after that, I'm stopping. We'll go to the next one. I would like others to participate for the next activity. Okay. Yes, Manjari.
Suppose I deal with a chapter, ma'am. I ask the student to read it. Okay. And they read it, and that's called the accusatory, ma'am. So there's no active involvement. But the same chapter, when I ask them to, display in a form of a role play, that becomes the participatory. Or any
Yes.
kind of activity. Active learning is basically the participatory learning, ma'am. And the passive learning, I mean, in the sense, taking of the test also is a accusatory learning in the sense, because it's a passive learning. It doesn't happen. That's what I understood from the entire thing.
Okay. Here, actually, Veena ma'am, when we are talking of acquisition is direct increase of knowledge as a result of teaching.
Okay.
Okay. There is no experimenting with that knowledge that they have learned. Or skill, whatever that they have learned. For example, I am learning to stitch. It's a skill. I know how to keep it and stitch it. But unless until I see certain designs or something, I don't experiment with it. Okay, when we discuss and know, that becomes participatory. So when I discuss it with others, work with others, then it becomes participatory. Why we say role play as participatory? The reason is, actually, your peers are involved there. So you may be talking from one part, but your peers or your friends who are students also, who are also going to present it from the other part. So you will have a lot of collaboration happening, lot of thinking that is happening, because this particular point, I have to tell this dialogue. That is an informal learning that actually happens. Okay. So that is the reason participatory learning becomes of an essence. Yes, for exams, when we look, acquisitional model is very good. But if you want real learning to happen, then it has to become from acquisition, it has to get converted to participatory mode. Yes,
So,
Manjari, you have completed?
Yes, ma'am. So taking up the test, in fact, that becomes the acquisition learning. And what I feel is the passive learning is the acquisition learning. There's no active.
Very true. Yes.
There's no active learning happening. But when it comes to the participatory learning, there's an active learning happening.
Yes. Yes.
That's it.
That's an active learning happening when it is participatory. When it is acquisitional, it becomes passive.
Passive learning.
Yeah. Okay. Now, the next one is related to Kolb's. Now that you have understood participatory and acquisitional, so now I would like you to relate one example that has happened in your class where you did something, okay? Okay, you can take it as you have reviewed it, you have learned from it. Remember, it's not students learning. It is your learning. Again, the difference is it's your learning. You did something in the class, okay? You reviewed it, then you learned from it and changed your strategy. That is your applying it, okay? So do, review, learn, and apply. That is the cycle of Kolb's. Okay. So I'll just put it in the chat box. You can just do, review, learn, and apply. This is the cycle. You have to think of an example that has happened in your class where you did it with your students. You reviewed it for the learning that has happened. What have you learned from it? How did you apply for the next thing? Okay. Next, going further, how did you change it or apply it?
Good morning, ma'am. I'm Chaitanya.
Yes, Chaitanya.
Yes, ma'am. I want to share one example. I don't know whether it will completely relate it or not. Once correct me, ma'am, if I'm going anywhere wrong. Once I'm taking class related to the respiratory system. I have explained completely about the gaseous exchange, how it takes place in the lungs, in alveoli. So I have completed the topic. I have done with that in the class. Then I asked the children, last 10 minutes, we'll have a plenary and a reflection, no, ma'am. At that time, when we are asking, one child asked me like, how this gaseous exchange will take place. You have explained, ma'am, but how this carbon dioxide will reach the alveoli? Then you said through the blood, it is transported through the blood, and through the process of diffusion, it will happen. So how in the blood this CO2 got accumulated? Why it is diffusion is moving from high to low concentration? How it became high concentration in the blood? Actually, that I didn't touch that part because it is related to exchange of gases. So I have made my teaching very limited according to the learning objective they have given. I mean, this is 2 years, 3 years back almost. Then from that question in that class, from the question which I have been faced by that particular learner, from the next class onwards, immediately I have changed my way of teaching about that particular topic. First, I used to teach them the basics of the circulatory system, how it will get transported, how the CO2 will get accumulated, and then respiration, how the breakdown of glucose will take place. At that, what will the waste product will come. Then I used to teach the gaseous exchange. So, even one learner also felt that it is not complete, the teaching part there. So first they should know how it will get accumulated, and then only they can understand. So that is the reason why diffusion is happening there and gaseous exchange is taking place. So from then onwards, I used to teach first the basics, the roots of that transportation, like how the blood transports, and respiration, how it happens, aerobic respiration. And then after this, then the gaseous exchange. This is how the carbon dioxide will be more accumulated in the blood, and the diffusion will be happening in the alveoli, exchange of both the gases. From past 3 years, I am doing the same, ma'am. But in this way, I felt very happy that children have understood more better. Because might be that learner have questioned me on that day. If in other classes, maybe the children are not thinking in that way and they are not asking before that. So now I have taken this strategy, ma'am. So I'm happy now. Like this is what I have learned in that class.
What was your learning? You're talking about the
Yes,
subject.
ma'am. What I have learned is like first that in the route which I should take while teaching that topic, what should I touch first? First, the what knowledge I should give to the child, and then how can I proceed? That I have learned, ma'am.
Okay, make a note of it because we will be covering that part in Unit 2. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so that's a very important aspect that we will have to look before we start a new topic.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. Thank you, Chaitanya. Anyone else? Alisha, I want an example. You're giving me a general one. Remember, your learning does not come in a general way, isn't it? What we learn is very specific through our experiences. I want that experience part of it. Yes, Manjari.
Ma'am, in fact, this is about story writing. So I had given a topic and have asked the student to write. So after the completion of the task, when I had to review what I saw, that they were not following the structure. So then I thought that probably I should have given them the elements of the story. Then I drew the triangle on the board and I showed it to them that this is the first we are going to start with the introduction. Then we have the characters, then the plot, then the rising action, then the climax and the falling action and the conclusion. So these are basically the elements of the story, and this is how they have to weave the story around this structure. So in fact, after giving that particular, in fact, example and the diagram on the board, I saw that the students were able to, write the story and apply whatever I have taught them in the class and in the topic. I mean, I gave a topic and they could apply whatever I taught them in the class on the basis of the structure given on the board. So that's what I found that, before giving any kind of writing task, it's better to explain the students that what we are expecting from them. Because if we just write a topic on the board and just leave it, obviously, it's like they can go, their imagination can go at any level, in fact. So what I thought, it's better that we tell them what we are expecting from them. So that's what I thought. So I changed my strategies. So nowadays, when I give any kind of writing task, I write the hints on the board or I tell them this is what you're expected to write. I mean, I don't give the entire answer, but I just give them clues and I give them hints. So they weave around the writing. I mean, they just go around the, clues and the hints and they complete the writing task.
Thank you, Manjari. Yes, Neelam. Shampa ma'am, yes, that's a very good example. Yeah. Yes, Neelam.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, in my class, I was teaching children about energy transfer, how it gets transferred from one place to or one object to another. So for explaining that, I made them arrange pencils and hit one pencil, then the last pencil also rolled over. So from the first pencil, it went to the last pencil. So all they did the activity, they understood. Then I asked them to give few more examples of energy transfer. They all started giving examples of mechanical energy transfer, like hitting the ball, dominoes, they started giving. But what I was expecting is heat transfer, sound transfer, different forms of energy transfer I was expecting. So I realized that they are not aware of different forms of energy can also be transferred. So in my next class, I taught them these are the different forms of energy. In the last class, I gave you example of mechanical energy transfer. Can you tell me how heat energy can be transferred? So then they were able to answer, yes, when we are heating a rod, the other end also gets heated up. Sound energy, from one place we are talking. So I gave them example of sound energy. When we are talking here, you are able to hear because it is getting transferred from here to there. It was for grade 5. Then they started thinking, array, different forms of energy can also be transferred. So I lagged in giving the different types of energy example. So that was a learning for me, that what I'm expecting, I should first give them the input.
There should be a specific input that you have to give. Very nice, very nice. Thank you, Neelam. Veena ma'am, yes ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Recently, while teaching the topic on sound to grade 8 students, what I did was I had taken a few pics aligned to my sequencing of what I'd be discussing in the class. So I gave these pictures to, team the children as a pair of two, and then gave them one picture each. I told them you have to be very attentive. You have to see which part of our discussion aligns to your picture, and you should write 2 points beside it. Now, this was the activity so that they are actively involved while the explanation and discussion is going on. Now, what I saw after the first period was some children had mismatched the explanation with the figure. So then I thought probably is it a problem with the understanding of the children, or is it that I could have done this activity in a better way? So the next period when I went to the class, I told them, children, I am just following the subtopics in the sequence of how it is coming in the textbooks. So if you write down that subtopic sequence, you will know which picture maps with which part of the discussion we are having. After that, the kind of explanation I got beside the pictures were a little more, appropriate. There, probably my instruction of that simple instruction was I'm following the subtopics was not clearly spelled out. So I thought from next time when I do an activity, I should be very clear about certain instructions here.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Veena ma'am. That was related to math, right, ma'am? Veena ma'am?
No, ma'am, it was related to topic on sound.
Okay, science.
Examples of sound. Yeah, science.
Sound, okay. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Ravanti.
Yeah, ma'am, this is related to colors. We are done with the primary colors, red, blue, and yellow. So I thought now I need to introduce the color of purple. Let us have an activity. I told that you'll now mix the color here, red and blue. You'll get a magic color. Let me know which color you're going to get. I just divided them each table. I gave one paper, colors, the 2 colors for each table, and I told them to mix as a group activity, ma'am. Each have mixed nicely with brush they have done. Then I told now tell me which magic color you got here. And one table told purple or some violet. Violet they told, purple they told. Some told, ma'am, it's a pink color, like a pink. One told black only, ma'am. So I felt where it is going. So here what they did was, the quantity of the color mixing varied. So when they are doing, no ma'am, a few, actually my intention, they should get purple or violet, they need to see. But if they have done less of blue color, more of pink color, they got little bit of lavenderish color. The other one get more blue color and they got the black color, exactly completely black. So next time what I did, it is not working. Let me mix the color in the glasses of water. So now if they mix also, I gave equal quantities, like pink and purple. In water I have mixed so that it got diluted. Now you mix together in one glass item. Now everyone got the same color. This is what I have learned. Giving paint did not work out for me because each one has their own way of applying the paint and got different colors. So next time I have changed it.
That's a very nice example because you vary the quantities, the color varies. Visibly, it will be
5 tables, 5 different colors, ma'am. Not even
Ah,
one has related. One told purple, violet, ma'am, it's baby pink, they told. One is because they don't even know that it's lavender. Like little bit of no lavender. One to black. Magic color, I got black.
okay. That was nice.
So,
So I
yeah.
think now we have got the idea of how to apply Kolb cycle in your classes. So when you're writing your assignment also, when you're saying acquisition or participatory model, okay, how exactly did you apply to your classes or where exactly will you apply will be in this form where you will be writing about how the actual experiential cycle goes into. This is what is experiential cycle. Do, then review, learn, and apply. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
1 minute. Champa ma'am has given.
But then, ma'am, how is it applied in like participatory as well as the accusatory? If you can just tell us, like,
Okay,
when did you?
I'll give you an example of my experience with no CICTL batch itself. So the first time when I was taking my class, I gave instruction regarding group discussion. Okay. I did not mention that based on the group, like I'll be giving, isn't it? 1, 2, 3. First group will take first topic. I didn't mention that. So after going into the rooms, they started working on the same topics. Okay. So that was after that I learned that I have to number, and when I am having a group, I'll have to fix it up. Now that was participatory, isn't it? When I'm asking a group work to be done, it's a participatory learning. But for me, the learning was I did not provide my instructions properly, right? So my instruction should have been the first topic should go to the first group, second to the second group, third to the third group. So that was my first learning that I have taken on an online learning. See, if it's physical, it's not an issue because you can always give the topic when you are directly visible. But once you go into your breakout rooms, giving topics becomes difficult, isn't it? So that became a learning for me in the participatory mode. Yes, Marjorie ma'am, got it? So anything
Yes.
that we do in our classes, okay, anything that we do in our classes, we know it is not working out and it is causing confusion. That actually provides us learning. So please don't expect yourselves to be perfect as teachers when you are entering classes. Accept that yes, we may not be correct in our instructions also. So sometimes we may have to modify the forthcoming time and then review on how exactly it has to go the next time. Yes, ma'am. So let me just read this. Okay. So it was on asking questions. So some questions became difficult. Yeah. So setting that becomes really a challenge, ma'am, in the class because you may have 1 or 2 students who really set challenging questions to the other group.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. But they will actually drive your class towards learning. That is what is more important. So now there is a group activity about the learning theories. So the first group 1 will take behaviorism, group 2 constructivism, group 3 cognitive learning process, group 4 social cognitivism, and group 5 will do metacognition. So I'll just share this in the chat box.
Ma'am, can you please assign one group for me?
Sai, they are not able to share the screen.
1 minute more. 1 minute more.
Yeah. Parvin, you didn't join any group? Parvin, are you there? She left. Share undi kada, allow participants to share is there, Sai. I will just check with them.
Okay, so let us have room 1 discussing about the behaviorism theory. Room 1, Manjari.
Yes, ma'am. Parveen, ma'am, you can start.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am. Am I audible, ma'am?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got behaviorism, ma'am. Behaviorism is intro is that behaviorism is a learning theory that focuses on observable behaviors, ma'am. It doesn't involves internal thoughts or emotions which are going on. So basically, it emphasizes how the environment shapes behavior through conditions, ma'am. So it is like when we in the environment when we are creating giving conditions, how they behave based on that. So it's not that the internal thoughts going on, it's completely observable behaviors, ma'am. So in behavioralism, we have two conditions. Those are classical conditions and operant conditions. Next, my team will talk about the other two, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. The classical conditioning, in fact, is a learning process where an association is made between the neutral stimulus and unconditional stimulus, which produces a conditional response. Now, let us take the example of, in fact, Pavlov's dogs. So Pavlov, in fact, he experimented with the dogs, and while ringing a bell. Now, when the dog was kept and the bell was rung, the ringing of a bell is basically the neutral stimulus. And then before the dog, the food was presented. Now the food becomes the unconditional stimulus. So initially, the bell alone did not cause the response for the dog to salivate. It was the food, in fact, which was presented, in fact, in front of the dog. That was the response. Now, when we are ringing a bell every time, so when we feed the dog, eventually, if we don't present the food also in front of the dog is going to salivate after listening to the bell, when the dog hears the bell. So this is the typical example of a classical conditioning. Now, Khushi will take it over to the operant conditioning.
Yeah, ma'am. So I'm going to speak about Tolrakind theory, ma'am. So it has several principles that is very important for the education. So they have told about 3 theories, that is law of readiness, like being ready for that learner. Like students learn best when they are prepared. The students are ready and to learn. And associative shifting, like skills. This is all related to skills. The skills are learned by the students when one type of task is being like instructed clearly. And identical elements, like learning is more effective when the new materials closely resembles. Like we have to engage them, the activities with different things rather than with the same thing. Then they will focus more on in the class, and they will show interest in that. So here readiness should be there, and the task which we are giving, that should be different, where the students can engage and can learn. So these are 3 laws: law of readiness, associative shifting, and identical elements. So these 3 points were mentioned there.
Okay, yeah. So behaviorism in a nutshell, it is a major theory that was actually propagated by Skinner. Okay.
P.F. Skinner. Skinner.
P.F. Skinner. So it's the experiments based on the thing is, it is like carrot and stick type of model. Okay, rewards and punishments. Okay. The major takeaway from this theory is that the learning must be a habit. Okay, if it is not a habit, it is not going to happen. Okay, even to this day, it is considered that unless until we form habits in the learning part, okay, initially it has to be using awards and rewards, but later on it has to be through expectations. Okay, and that habit will actually focus on learning. So today, most of this theory is redundant, but yes, there are aspects that we will be following for this behaviorism part also. Okay. Right. Now I'll just give you a quick 5 minutes break. Then we will go to group 2. Okay. Quick 5 minutes break. You can just go finish your recess and come back. Yeah, welcome back.
Shravanti present.
Room 2, Sinduri, Tehseen, Veena ma'am. Yeah, you can
Yes, ma'am.
present.
Sinduri will present. Sinduri?
Ma'am,
Yes.
I will start. Sindhuri, ma'am, I'll just start. So the topic that our group got is constructivism. So to talk about constructivism, it is a learning theory that suggests individuals construct their own knowledge and understanding through experience, social interactions, and negotiation with others. It emphasizes the active role of learners in building their own knowledge and meaning. And ma'am, could you please share the next slide? Yes, that is what this it has been explained. Just now I read this. Could you please go to the next slide, ma'am? So, ma'am, I'll just read out what I have understood. So, the key principles of constructivism is active learning, knowledge construction, and personal interpretation. So, under the first key principle, that is the active learning, learners are not passive recipients of information, but rather active participants in the learning process. Then, with regard to the second key principle, that is knowledge construction, learners construct their own knowledge and understanding through experience, social interaction, and negotiation with others. And personal interpretation, each learner brings their own unique perspective and experiences to the learning process, resulting in individualized interpretations and understandings. And as teachers, our role is to facilitate learning by providing opportunities for exploration, discovery, and social interaction rather than simply transmitting information. So, ma'am, also they have discussed about the key figures associated with this constructivism. And I would just like to go with the theory of Lev Vygotsky. Hope I pronounce it correctly. So according to his theory focuses on the social context of learning and the importance of language in shaping our thinking. And there, if I have to go with the example that has been provided here, like he believed that the learners have a range of knowledge that they can acquire the guidance of a more knowledgeable other, that is MKO, more knowledgeable other. And the gap between what learners can do independently and what they can do with guidance. So now my friend Sindhuri will take over.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, we have discussed about the theories. We are talking about Vygotsky's. There, many of the other theories were discussing only about the general, acquisition of knowledge, where in the constructivism, the participatory will be happen. And thus, it will help the students to develop in their cognitive way. Yes, ma'am. Veena, ma'am, can you please continue?
Yes, I will. Thank you. So, ma'am, here there are many, classroom scenario examples where constructivism can happen. First one is individual learning. If we have to give example of individual learning, something like, so we give the child a Rubik cube and give them some 2-3 minutes to come to a particular arrangement of the Rubik cube. They do it individually. That is individual doing. That is an example of constructivism. They find out their own method of how to come to that particular arrangement. Then children can also have experiential learning. Like, for example, we give them some projects to find out, collect data, and from that data come to a conclusion. Then that kind of learning also, children are constructing their own knowledge based on the data they are collecting. Most of projects, like now, suppose let us say about the impact of these Ganesh idol immersion during Ganesh Chaturthi, we give them and ask them to take a survey in their apartment of how many of them are using clay Ganesh, how many of them are using painted Ganesh, and things like that. When children take out the survey and they come up with a plan, that is again, they are constructing their own method of knowledge of dealing with the problem. That is also an example of constructivist theory. That comes under experiential learning. Then if we set up an experience, like we want them to make a model based on a science concept, we give them all the things and ask them to construct a model, and they all do it as a group activity. There also, as a group, their social interaction is there and they are learning. That is also an example of constructivist learning. Then children reflect upon what they are doing, and they try to relearn things. Like reflection is kind of, we can ask children who are not good with their language, we can ask them to maintain a small notebook where they write down every day the usage of words and which words they found difficulty in, how to use that word, and try to reuse it again the next time in a better way. If they journal that and write that out and then they practice whatever they have written, that becomes a reflective type of learning. That is also coming under example of constructivist learning. Everywhere children are constructing their own knowledge by different methods.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So when we look at constructivism, constructivism is related more towards experiential learning. That is when the learner constructs their own meaning of the theories or whatever they are learning, then it is called as constructivism. So here actually, when we talk of Vygotsky's social constructivism is very important. That is how they work in groups, collaborate and learn. As one of you have rightly said, that it is more of a participatory process that actually happens. And here, when we talk of Vygotsky, the two important words are scaffolding and ZPD, zone of proximal development. So scaffolding is nothing but taking the child towards the learning goal or supporting, giving the right amount of guidance, not the total guidance, the right amount of guidance, and then helping them to create their own knowledge structures. Okay, there is another one you can also work through, that is Bandura's schema. Okay, schema also comes under constructivism. Okay, schema of learning. So that is nothing but the structure of learning that individual learner creates in their mind. So that is about constructivism. Okay, so this constructivism is very much related to active learning, which Cambridge is actually considering is as their prime methodology of teaching. Next group. Yes,
Yeah,
the
ma'am.
group 3. Yeah.
Yeah, ma'am.
Your
Regarding
cognitive
learning process, this usually refers to the individuals, how they acquire the process and they store the knowledge and the skills what they have learned. So here they mainly focus on this cognitive learning theory, ma'am, understanding how the minds work, like in learning, or emphasizing their importance of internal process, like thinking, how they memory, how they use them in the problem solving and in decision making. And the key components is mainly of attention, ma'am. Here, it involves in the focusing the mental resources, like how relevant to learn the task. Without attention, it will not be possible. Like the information cannot be processed deeply, and the learning will be unlikely. So teachers should capture the students' attention in engaging these contents, ma'am, and more of interactive activities we should go ahead. And also, like the learners here, they should be more of interpret and make sense of sensory information from the environment. They should be related to the environment, which involves the recognizing, organizing, and also interpreting the sensory inputs to understand the world. So here more of the, even we are discussing with the cognitive learning, it is also interrelated with the social cognitive learning. So even we have to interpret with the social environment too, ma'am. And we should have perceptions should be influenced like by prior knowledge, experiences, and expectations, and shaping how new information is understood and then integrated with the existing knowledge. And even this knowledge should be converting into a sensory input into a format one where we store in the memory. Like effective encoding strategies like organizing the information, making connections with the prior knowledge, like whatever we have learned into it, we have to interpret it and then use it for the, we have to apply it in our concepts, like whenever we have an activity based. So, and also we should store it, ma'am. The whatever we have observed, we have to think, memory it, and also store it. So the storage may be of short term or it may be a long term. So when we see it, we will be storing them for a few seconds. But certain things like riding a bicycle, like what we have learned in our past, also we will be able to do it till now. We memorize those things. So it will be both of short-term memory as well as long-term memory. And going forward, my colleague will be continuing.
Yes, ma'am. Next, what I'm going to speak here is skill acquisition. So as per the document that they have divided the skill acquisition as two major parts. That is, one is general skills, other one is specific skills. So here, general skills apply to a wide variety of disciplines. It's been stated by Brunner in 1985. So the example that he quoted as general skills are critical thinking and problem solving, communication and presentation, collaboration and teamwork, time management, adaptability, flexibility, which we can apply to the wide range of domains, whether this child is studying English or math or science or social, different disciplines he can apply. So these all things can be counted as the general skills, whereas the specific skills include only in certain domains. Say for an example, in like if we are talking about computers, the skill to acquire a programming languages like Java, Python. And if it is learning the foreign languages, which includes again learning and working on those languages. And if the child is very skilled in musical instruments, so that is the specific skill. Again, it applies same for mathematics or science, solving particular things. And for science, we can say laboratory working. So these are the examples stated by them. And one more thing that they quoted mainly is domain specificity. It is being said, it's a term used to refer as the discrete declarative knowledge structure. It has been stated by Sese in 1989. And as per Perkins and Salmon in 1989, they are saying the domain specificity is nothing but thinking of skill specificity ranging along a continuum is preferable. So in general, what we can say, the domain specificity is nothing but the skills or the knowledge and expertise which is specific to a particular domain or a field. So what is the examples of domain specificity that they stated is like a person who is, suppose, a medical doctor who can be very expert in medicine may not be good in engineering. A musician may be very good in music or may not be so good in art. So this they are trying to say that is examples of domain specificity. And when domain specificity, when a student is acquiring, what are the advantages is like he can be specialized in that field or on his domain, or the contextual learning will happen. And they are ending the topic of this skills by asking what counts most for ensuring success in learning. So the scientists like they are Perkins and Salmon, again, they are quoting some local knowledge is actually needed for one person to acquire the skills of anything. Suppose if you want to know about fraction, you should know the knowledge of the fraction in your real life. So then you can be specialized in that particular field. That's my point.
Yeah. Anyone else? So Sharmila and Shravanti have come. Alicia and Saujanya.
Yes, ma'am. Next, I'll continue with novice to expert research methodology. Here, novice refers to a person who is new without experience or a beginner. So I'll just go through the certain points. So what do you need? I mean, which key points are needed to become from a novice to expert research? Here we have few things here. Shift in learning focus. Focus on reinforcement-based learning to understand students' beliefs and thought process. Number two, steps included identify the skills that a beginner to be learned or else the novice to be learned. Next, novice need to find an expert who perform the skill well, and if he is struggling on it, he need to find a expert who can perform the skill. Next, he need to develop, novice need to develop a way to move to the expert level as efficiently as possible. He need to go through a intuitive approach. The methodology is based on intuitive idea that by studying experts closely, novices can learn their knowledge, strategies, and how they handle the challenges. In applications in real life, this model is similar to apprenticeships on the job training and mentoring. Experts have more extensive domain knowledge and a better understanding of their knowledge gaps. Descriptive and not explanatory. The model describes what learners to do, but doesn't explain why they do it, assumes a fixed set of skills, define expertise, which is not always the case. So in this, limited teaching applications. Effective teaching should be grounded in learning theories and take into account personal and environmental factors. So these are the key points which I have just got it from this novel.
You just stated the first point. Can you just repeat that? The first point of novice to expert. The first point that you have told.
Is this focusing on reinforcement-based learning?
Yes. So what does that mean actually? Because that's a very important aspect. What does that mean in your classrooms when we say that we have to focus more on reinforcement-based learning? What does it mean?
Ma'am, it refers to a learning principle from behaviorist psychology.
Is it behaviorist psychology?
Ma'am,
What
learning
does
from
mean?
mistakes, like reinforcement means checking.
Checking.
Yeah, whatever mistakes, that gaps we are having, again we have to go through it and then correct and apply.
Encouraging the
Learning from the
behavior to be
mistakes.
repeated. Encouraging the behavior to be repeated. For example, giving a student praise or reward for completing their homework encourages them to do it again.
Ma'am, reinforcement is basically, in fact, if there is a principle like a child has got a gap in the learning, like suppose I teach a concept and there's a lacuna or a gap. So again, I'm reinforcing the concept. And once the concept is learned, okay, through practice or giving exercises, I'm reinforcing the particular concept, whatever I have taught in the class. So that is what reinforcement is all about.
Yes, that is what it is. But no, this particular theory of reinforcement actually connects your behaviorism, it connects constructivism, it connects cognitivism also.
Yes.
Yes, because when we talk of behaviorism is all about developing habits, okay, that actually will be bringing forth learning, okay. When we are talking of constructivism, it is again constructing their own meaning. When will they construct their own meaning? When the concept that they are learning is correctly reinforced and it is built up in their minds or in their long-term memory when we talk of neuroscience, okay. So all these theories, if you look around, it's circling around that one particular point where you're making a novice, a newcomer to an expert. Okay. Yeah. Next, anyone else?
Ma'am, I have few
Alicia.
points, ma'am.
Alicia, yeah.
Yeah, ma'am. I have few points, ma'am. I'll just conclude the topic. So, as Saujanya ma'am has already said about the expert and novice, I'll just have to take few points to just support that. One is coming to novice kind of people, ma'am, they are like, they'll follow the means and analysis, which means they will understand the concept. They'll just learn the concept, the definitions, the basic definitions and all, and they will try to apply. When they don't find the exact combinations or exact reaching of the definitions, they will just abandon or leave the challenge or the task. They'll not go deeper or learn again. No, it is not that. Novice is the basic knowledgeable people. That's all. And one more thing is they will tend to overlap the concepts of scientific, ma'am. Especially the example is given in the science. So they will not have exact knowledge about the concepts in science. They will overlap the concepts. One to this or that definitions they may overlap. And coming to the expert, they will recognize the major or minor problems they would face during the task, and along with the task they will try to solve. If unforeseen problem has arisen, what they will do, they will divide the task into sub goals, and they will start solving one by one, one after the other, and ultimately reach the goal. This is what the expert do, and novice will not have that standard or the specific knowledge to complete the task. And majorly, if we take, they have given one example about the inclined plane. So what this novice does is they will have the knowledge of all the definitions, but here expert will know where to apply and how to get the solution. So that is a major difference between expert and novice. As Saujanya ma'am said, I'll conclude it that every novice needs the support of the expert to complete the task, to become an expert later.
Okay. Now, there is something that I would like to, in our classrooms also, what actually we try to do is remember, to bring students who are novices to expert level. So when does that actually happens in our classrooms is when they have all the schools generally, that is that no students struggle with maths as they come to higher classes. Okay, routinely parents say practice, but do students really practice? Okay, because why do they not practice? What is that is not making them do practice? Now you ask any child, they will always say that they want to learn. But why is that learning not happening? Okay, so you think about it. We'll get back to it after this group discussions is done. Room 4, yes. Aarti, Neelam and Revati.
Yeah, ma'am. Our topic is social cognitivism. Social cognitivism, basically, like as we are humans, we tend to interact a lot with others. Here, what happens is we tend to imitate what others do. For example, in a classroom scenario, only when we teachers, start behaving polite, be kind with each other, students also imitate us.
Neelam, just a minute, Revati. Neelam, don't share Wikipedia. Wikipedia is not an authentic source of information, okay? Never browse Wikipedia. Please understand, Wikipedia is not an authentic source of information, and do not even mention Wikipedia as a reference, okay?
No, ma'am, I just wanted to share the Word document. By mistake, it got shared. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's basically the behavior, ma'am. What we learn by imitating others. For example, as Manjari ma'am was talking about the story thing, same goes with an essay writing. There is an essay writing and I write, this is the format, this is the structure of the essay. Students are going to, or the learners are going to see it, observe it, and then try imitating their own language or own writing skills and then practice the same. It is more about practicing, observing, imitating, and then practicing, ma'am. That is social cognitivism. Yes, I think Neelam ma'am will continue on this one.
Yes, ma'am. Social cognition depends on the agents of social agents which affects one individual. The first one is the immediate family, then the school setup where they are going or college setup, then the society to which they are belonging. So that affects the learning of a person, because they learn about modeling, means they will be seeing how a person behaves, or how the immediate family member or a person in the society behaves, and accordingly they will be modeling the behavior, or their behavior affects. Then the stereotypes which are followed in the society, like we have gender stereotypes, that also affects the way the learners learn. Next is the societal expectations, like what is expected from you from the society, that affects the social cognition of a person. Like suppose some society is expecting you to play a certain role in a society, that also affects the cognition of a person. This is basically dependent on the Bandura's triadic reciprocal causation. Like social cognition depends on the personal, environment, and the behavior. Personal means how you perceive yourself as a part of the society. Then behavior, that becomes a personal. Behavior, how your behavior is shaped based on the behavior, whether you are being rewarded for your behavior or not. The next is the environment where you are belonging to. So that all factors affect the social cognition. Next, I want Aarti ma'am to present.
यस मैम। मैम जैसे कि नीलम मैम ने और मैम ने बताया है कि मनुष्य पर उसके समाज का ज्यादा प्रभाव पड़ता है। सबसे पहले है परिवार। परिवार में वो जो भी देखता है उसे इमिटेट करता है, या नहीं तो उन लोगों की तरह एक्ट करते करते वैसे ही वो बनने की कोशिश करने लग जाता है। फिर उसके बाद में उसका प्रभाव पड़ता उसके ऊपर प्रभाव पड़ता है स्कूल का। जैसे पर्यावरण में वो रह रहा है, या उसे किस प्रकार का उसे कल्चर मिला है, ये सारी चीजें उसके ऊपर बहुत प्रभाव डालती है किसी भी व्यक्ति के ऊपर। उसकी पर्सनालिटी उन्हीं सब चीजों से बनेगी जिसका प्रभाव इसके ऊपर पड़ेगा। ये सारी चीजें हैं। थैंक यू मैम।
See, there is a simple statement that generally psychologists use today for parents, isn't it? Your kids will not do as you say, they will do what you do. So the same thing happens when we look up social cognitive theory, because we have something called as mirroring effect. Okay, that is the mirror neurons at work. So when that is what is dominating during the adolescence time. Okay, and that is the reason students feel that they have to copy their peers. Okay, the influential adults will be influencing younger generation because of that particular reason. Yes, the last one, metacognition, the last group.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Chaitanya.
Metacognition. It means cognition about cognition, that is thinking about one's thinking. Ma'am, it has 2 dimensions: metacognitive knowledge and metacognitive regulation. Metacognition cognitive knowledge includes the learner's knowledge of their own cognitive abilities, like nature of particular tasks, different strategies, including when to use these strategies. And metacognitive regulation, which describes how learners monitor and control their cognitive process. Suppose if one approach is not working, they want to try for another approach, like that. And ma'am, one more thing about a metacognition and metacognitive learning. They are believed to play an important role in many types of cognitive activities, like oral communication of information, oral comprehension, reading comprehension, writing, language acquisition, perception, memory, problem solving, social cognition, and various forms of self-construction and self-regulation. And there are this metacognitive learning it comprises of 2 related set of skills. One is one must understand what skills, strategies, and resources a task requires. If any task they have taken, first they should be ensure that what skills and strategies and resources they required for their task to complete. And second one, One must know how and when to use these skills and strategies to ensure the task is completed successfully. So once we have planned with some task, with some skills and strategies and resources, what we want to use, first they should know that when to use these strategies to fulfill their task successfully. And this can be done. How can they how can they know whether the task is going in a right way or they are going to complete it successfully is by monitoring activities, including the level of understanding, predicting outcomes, evaluating the effectiveness of efforts, planning activities, deciding how to budget time, how to use the time, revising and switching to other activities to overcome the difficulties. If while doing any task, if they have any difficulty, they should switch to another strategy to overcome it. So metacognitive activities reflect the strategic application of a declarative, procedural, and conditional. This is given by Kohn in 1999. And also knowledge to task, like metacognitive skills were the key to develop critical thinking. This earlier also we have discussed, ma'am. So by using this metacognitive skills, so the learners will be able to develop the critical thinking ability. And next, continued by...
Ma'am, my topic is about variables influencing metacognition. So metacognition awareness is influenced by the 3 variables associated like learners, task, and strategies. So first, learner variables are learners' level of development influence their metacognition. So how the learners' variables should be there? So first of all, prior knowledge. So a learner should have existing knowledge based on the effect of new information is integrated in that particular topic. Based on the learner, we have to take the, we have to see the ability of the learner and we have to use how to plan. The ability to plan, monitor and evaluate one's learning process affects how well learners manage their study habits and adapt the strategies. And even it should be like intrinsic and extrinsic motivation even drive effort and engagement in the persisting learning task also. And the next one is about individual approach to organize and manage the study time, affecting learning efficiency and effectiveness of the learner. And the next second variable is task variable. So when we are taking the task, it should be like age-based task should be there for the learner. Like if the task is complexity and the difficulty level and complexity of a task is of different types and level of metacognitive strategies are also needed. More complex tasks often require advanced planning and monitoring. If the task difficulty level is more, then we have to plan before itself and we have to monitor the learners. And there should be clarity for the task. Clear, well-defined tasks are easier to approach and manage and even facilitate better use of metacognitive skills. And the third is strategy variable. This is the strategy variable is like planning, monitoring, and evaluating. Effective planning involves the setting goals, like selecting appropriate strategy or appropriate strategy of the learner. And monitoring also is needed. Monitoring involves like checking, understanding, and progress and adjusting the strategies as needed. And evaluation is very much important. After completing a task, evaluating the performance and reflecting on what worked and what did not, guide, and even we can reflect on that. That is what about the variables influencing metacognition. Now Champa ma'am is going to start.
Whatever has been told till now, I'll just sum it up. I've just put a message in the chat where we have 2 aspects of this, metacognition and behavior. See, just now Mukambika spoke about intrinsic and extrinsic motivational factors to change a cognition to metacognition. The journey from cognition to metacognition. So here, the behavior of the students like is not positive in cases where we say them what component of learning is important, but we don't say when, where, and why this strategy should be used. So if this is not clear to the student, the students get confused, and then metacognition doesn't happen. So our facilitating of the concept is the result of student not taking interest and not having the intrinsic behavior pattern positively, even though our extrinsic motivation is strong enough to give the concept. The next thing is they have highlighted how metacognition and reading goes hand in hand. When we read a certain thing, we only try to read it very metamorphically, or like we don't understand or we don't monitor the purpose of our learning and where we can use the strategies gained through or comprehended through learning in our daily life. So here comes the social aspect. Whenever we give a topic, we teach a topic, we always bring the real life experiences, the aspect of real life experiences, where the student gets to know what are the social implications or interpretation of the concept, which makes metacognition possible from cognition. So we need to devise strategies of having a metacognition from the cognitive aspects that we plan in through our lesson plans.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Actually, one of you had asked me the difference between cognition and metacognition. I'll talk it in the layman's terms for ourselves. See, sometimes what happens, principal or a coordinator says that teacher's teaching is very nice. Okay. Or no, she has done the class excellently well today. So what we will do, okay, now we start thinking, why is her class better than my class? Okay, because that is the natural response of the brain. Now, if you allow your brain to think like that, that is cognition. But once your brain starts thinking in that mode and you start questioning, why are you thinking like that? Let me think on what exactly she has done differently to get a good this one and no good reputation and where I have lacked. When that sort of a reflection happens in your brain, that means metacognition is happening. Yeah. Yes, all of you. In your own layman terms, I have told you. So this is cognition. Automatic, spontaneous thinking is cognition. But if you reflect and deeply think about why that thinking is happening in your brain, that is metacognition. Okay, that is what is thinking about thinking. Okay. So the next activity, there is one theory that we had not looked into, that is about humanism. So I'm not asking you to no, tell. You can just read and write about what is that about humanism that you understand in a single sentence from this particular blog. Okay, just go through this blog, okay, and write about. It's a university blog. You can just write about what is the humanistic theory that we are talking about. What is that is so special about this particular
Ma'am, could you please
theory?
post the link in the chat box, ma'am?
I've already done.
Yeah, I can see.
Please check. It's already there. Others didn't get it. Did you all get the link?
Group also.
Yes, ma'am, we got the.
Yeah.
Okay. You can post your understanding as statements in the chat box. Yes. Basic support learning. Okay, great. Yes. Okay. Okay. Right. Yes, ma'am. Anyone else? Yes. Okay. Intellectual. Right. So you've almost got the essence of humanism, wherein you have to treat the child as a complete child, not only considering this environment, but also the nurture of the child, the environment in which or the social conditions in which the child is brought up is also to be considered when we are dealing with the child. Okay, the emotions are a bigger aspect when we look at humanism theory. Okay, it should not be based on external motivation. That is what is awards and rewards. It should not be based on. It should prioritize more of emotional well-being of the child towards learning. Right. Right. So most of you have got the sense of humanistic learning. Almost all of you, whoever has submitted, have understood. Anyone has any questions in this? Any questions related to humanism?
Ma'am.
Yes, Sharmila.
Even is a inclusive education is a part of this humanistic theory, or
Yes, it is a part, because when we talk of child, we are not talking about the segregation, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, students must be. Yes, Manjari.
I have a question in the cognitive theory. So, are we not supposed to in the cognitive? We do have John Piaget's those 5 stages, ma'am.
Stages.
Yes, yeah. So, are we not going to cover those, because those are also very important when it comes to the learning?
See, it is not about Manjari here. The thing is, it's not about one theory. Today, it is proven that every theory has its input. Okay, so it is not going to be that one theory. These are all the basic theories of learning. Humanism, cognitivism, behaviorism, all these. You can explore more and you can take that as your area which you would like to impart in your classes. Need not be like one cognitive theory you need to.
Okay.
Yes, Neelam.
Hmm.
Neelam?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, my question is based on this humanistic learning in the current scenario of our education system in our classroom, how can we implement it when we have our essays, then grade promotions? So suppose a child is unable to, at a slow pace, he's learning a certain concepts, but we are judging the entire class based on the entire syllabus. So a child may not be able to complete the entire thing in that class, what it is expected from the child in this current scenario. So how do we implement it in our class?
You will have it slowly because now we are only introducing to theories. Next week, it will be on motivation. Okay, so slowly we will come into it. Then comes the assessment part of it. Then you will have a picture and a rough idea. Once you complete your unit 3, you will have a fair idea of how to go about doing it in your classes. Okay, now immediately you will remember first exposures for your identification. In unit 1, you will be able to identify that these theories are present in your classes. Okay, unit 2, you will start working with these theories in your classes. Unit 3, you will be extending these theories into your classes. When you move into your mod 2, mod 3, you will be evaluating these theories in your classrooms. Okay, and coming up with different pros and cons about these. Okay. So you need not run to a conclusion now. It's a step-by-step process that actually happens in this total certificate course.
Okay,
Next, next one is about active learning and constructivism. So again, we are going to the group 1, but remember, I'm going to give you 10 minutes of reading time along with the break, but I would like you to come back and present. Not each group will only get 2 minutes to present. So group 1 will do what is active learning. Group 2, how can this be achieved in our classes? Group 3, how can constructivism help in creating active learning environments? Group 4, why does autonomy, engagement and ZPD support active learning? Group 5, what hinders active learning? Okay, so we will take a short break now. It's 11:32, 11:37 you can come back. Till 11:47 you will have your preparation time. Yes? Yeah. Okay, take a break.
Saujanya, please join your group. Kushi also. Kushi, please join room number 2.
Okay, each group has only 2 minutes, huh? Only 2 minutes to present. So we'll start with group 1, Saujanya, Manjari and Parveen. Only 2 minutes. Please note your time and then present.
Yes, ma'am. I'll just share the PPT. 1 second.
Yeah.
So, Parveen ma'am, you can start with active learning. Parveen ma'am? Okay, Saujanya ma'am, you can start or you want me to start? Yeah.
I am here, ma'am. I am here, ma'am.
Yeah.
Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yeah,
Can you hear me, ma'am? Hello? Can you hear me,
Yes,
ma'am?
we can hear. Yes, we
Parveen,
can
ma'am, you
hear,
can.
Parveen.
Right, ma'am. So active learning is nothing but, ma'am, here we have active and passive learning. So we are talking about active learning where the student will be the center, that is centric approach. Student engages actively he or she engages in learning process, ma'am. It's entirely student approach. So whereas if you're talking about passive, it is opposite to that. Only teacher will be engaging in learning process. So this learning will encourages and involves a learner to give his 100% in the learning activities. So it makes the student to apply, analyze, synthesize, and evaluate the information in the learning process. Yes, ma'am. So now the other core principles of the active learning will be taken by Manjari, ma'am.
Yes, the core principles of active learning, ma'am, we have the student's engagement. As it's a student-centric, obviously the student becomes the component part of the learning, and it is also the collaborate learning. Suppose in the form of any kind of activity, the role play is given, or any kind of group work is given, or the research work is given. So that's basically the collaborative learning, and it is also the interactive methods. So student interact with each other, student interact with the teacher, student interact with the peers. So that is also an interactive method. Reflection and the feedback. So after, in fact, after presentation of the work, the teacher is going to reflect and give feedback. So the student learn from the feedback as well as the self-reflection, and also the application of the knowledge. So whatever the knowledge is imparted, whatever the knowledge is given or the imparted, it definitely applies, and the student present the work. So this is the entire active learning. So now Saujanya ma'am will take it from here.
Yes, ma'am. So I'll say actually the relation between the active learning and construction, ma'am, constructivism. Here, the learner-centered approach, both the active learning and constructivism emphasize the student as the focal point of the learning process. Constructivist theory asserts that learning happens when the individuals actively construct the knowledge, and active learning provides the tools for this construction by engaging students directly in meaningful tasks. So in constructivism, students are seen as active agents in their own learning, whereas in active learning supports this by allowing students to explore, experiment, and build knowledge through activities that require critical thinking and collaboration. We have a social interaction here. Constructivist theory is that learning is a social process where students construct.
Saujanya.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So active learning actually complements constructivism. Without active learning, there is no actual constructing of their own meaning. Okay. Yes, group 2.
Yes, ma'am. Group 2, I'm going to begin with. So our topic is how this active learning can be achieved in our classes.
Okay.
So active learning can be achieved in our classes by discussions and debates, group work and collaboration, then hands-on activities and experiments, and problem solving and case studies, reflective journaling and self-assessment. And this can be achieved by incorporating these strategies. We can create an engaging and interactive learning environment that promotes learner autonomy, motivation, and achievement. So my friend Sindhuri is going to elaborate on the points that I have told just now.
Yes, ma'am. So coming to the first one, discussions and debates, we can give the activities like open-ended question or exploration of ideas, debates, or form critical thinking questions to the students. So this can actually make them participate actively through discussions and debates about their own points. And the second was hands-on activities like role play, games, which are simply the active learning, what we say, activities which can be involved. And the third one is group work, ma'am. So the work like collaborative activity and projects can be given for the children. And for problem solving, there will be a freedom for the children to discuss among themselves and to know what they have learned and how about what they wanted to study. So this will give a freedom for them to solve their own problems they have arose. And the last one is reflective journal. So we can provide the reflective sheets or journals to the students so that they can reflect, or peer assessment, by peer assessment also they can reflect their own understandings and their peer understandings.
So, ma'am, and it is not only about designing the
Time is up.
instructions. Okay.
Yeah. Can you make it
Uh,
fast? 30
yes,
seconds,
ma'am.
Yeah.
It is also about design of the classroom. We cater to so much different kind of stimuli for the children, an auditory stimuli, or we have the ICT presentation, or we have models to be kept. For some children, we have crosswords to be kept and tinker with, so that active learning happens through all these different kind of stimuli to cater to multiple intelligences of learning. That's what I'd like to say.
Right. Thank you, ma'am. Group 3. How can constructivism help creating active learning environments?
Yeah, ma'am. So the theory of constructivism itself explains like how knowledge and understanding are slowly constructed. So it suggested that learning is an individual process. However, the constructivism is in a learning process suggests that build or construct the knowledge actively rather than passively receiving the information. So it emphasizes the importance of learners interacting with the content, experiences, and peers to make the sense of new information based on their prior knowledge. So constructivism plays an important role, ma'am, in creating the active learning environment because it focuses on engaging the students in learning the process through discovery, exploration, and also collaboration. So here, as how effective was the individuals and in the group, let me take on as a glance, ma'am, like as an individual itself. Each individual builds an idiosyncratic vision of reality, which is partly based on the similar experiences, but it's shaped by the individuals, like because of their prior knowledge or understanding and then experiencing. This was told by the Pritchard and Woolland in 2010. Thus, so though the learners were exposed with the similar learning content, depending upon the prior knowledge and experiences with the subject, how they have undertaken the activities, they demonstrate the different levels of interpretation and the learning the outcomes. So the next one will be explained by my friend.
Yeah, I would like to add up this point as what Shravanti ma'am said. It's like how students can learn on their own and constructivism part. So as ma'am said, like, it is a process through which individuals, each prior set of experience, they would have experienced it and how they connected with their physical and social environment is a major thing in constructivism and active learning. So this constructivism will bring cognitive, effective and behavioral transformation. But there is one point we should note, even every student may not be able to give the specific answers what we expect. There are even some students who gives the general answers or general response to whatever we do. So for them, we just need to repeat that active learning cycle with, the different pedagogy, which will be continued further by my colleague.
Yes, ma'am. I'm going to explain about how well the students will learn in group. So according to the examples given in the thing, role plays and mind maps are given. So how are they going to help the students in developing their through active learning? So opportunities are given to express through these role plays or the mind maps, whichever is given. So Vygotsky already emphasized that language role is more in the development of the individual learning. So what I have observed is what do they do in the role plays or in the group activities? They construct knowledge together. They will express. They will emote. They will they'll put their emotions out. They will discuss. And with whom they were going to discuss it can be with the peers, with the adults, or within themselves also sometimes will happen. If we see in the only their skills and their experiences will help, and in the group their experiences, their skills, and peers, adults, everybody will be involved in the group work. And this is majorly about the expression, whatever they feel, whatever
Time,
they want.
Alisha.
Ma'am, just 10
Yeah.
seconds and I'll complete. And what they will do in the group is they will originate the idea, they will develop, they'll recreate, and they will get rejected also. This is how they will understand how the society also works in the major part. And they also have the freedom to choose the topic also. So these all helps in the development of the child, ma'am. So I'll end it here.
Next group, why does autonomy, engagement, and ZPD support active learning? Next group, can you please make it fast? Well, group 4, Aarti, Neelam, and Revati. Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. For us, how does zone of proximal development and learner engagement and learner autonomy help in active learning, and what are the factors that it affects it? So I'll be sharing the screen, ma'am.
Make it fast, no? Because I have still more.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. In the learner autonomy, we give the autonomy to learner about how they learn and what they learn. So this practice is very effective in higher education and employment. They get the space and opportunity to practice autonomy, because every time the teacher or the parent may not be there, or somebody will not be there to help you learn. When you are growing as an adult, you will be more independent. So this practice in classroom helps the learner to be autonomous about what they learn and how they learn. So to be effective learners, learner autonomy is very important. Next, I would like my colleague to please take over.
Yes, ma'am. Learners' engagement and involvement. We can involve them with that by doing the group activities and the pairing also. If we are giving the group activities, they are having the freedom to present their whatever they are thinking about that, and freedom to present that one. Then it will be achieve the goals. They will successfully achieve that goals, or that activity will help them to enjoy the process also, ma'am.
Ma'am, speaking about this zone of proximal development, now proximity, that part, ma'am, it is the range of tasks that a learner can actually perform. And they also develop when there is collaboration happening, when there is scaffolding, when there is engagement, when there is motivation. What was below or what was within their zone of proximal development will increase slowly, because first they will try working independently, then slowly there comes educators who are helping them, and when they feel they have kind of improved, they will remove that scaffolding from them and they will start working independently, ma'am. So basically it is like as the learners develop, they will start performing their task themselves, which was within or which was not about to reach that proximity. They will start working on that better, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, next
No,
is
not that. That is not yours. Please understand, this is next group.
okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Next group. Yes. Yes, ma'am. Last group.
Challenges that hindered active learning. Ma'am.
Yes, Chaitanya.
Actually, there are several factors which can hinder the active learning. Like these barriers can occur at different levels, impacting both the students and the educational environment. So the areas, so they can be choice of content and also time management. So the areas to be improved to bring about effective learning and achievement of class objectives. Here they have mentioned about 3 areas, that is critical questioning, teacher as a timekeeper, and assessment tool. So first one I am doing, ma'am, critical questioning. Teacher plays a crucial role in this, ma'am. Crucial role in asking the critical questions for the students and encouraging them to ask the questions, so that by asking these critical questions, these questions have a power to engage all the students in thinking, talking, and making meaning of the concepts. And next one, probing students with higher order questions would have lead to deep thought, reflection, and effective learning. This would enhance learners' knowledge. So critical questioning is very, very important in the active learning, so that children will think beyond.
It also ignites the thought process of the students.
Yes,
By
yes.
putting a question which will ignite the thought process is also required. Next, I think it is
Mukambika.
Mugambika. Teacher as a timekeeper.
Yes, ma'am. Teacher as a timekeeper in the active learning process. When a teacher acts as a timekeeper in the active learning process, we must manage and balance time effectively to ensure that learning activities are productive and engaging. So here are the 4 stages. Planning for the class, implementation of the plan in the class, and reflection and gaining new learning, and reapplication of the learning back in the class. So when we do all these 4 stages, we can make the children active learners.
Yes.
So next is assessment tools must be well planned. In this case, we have in AFL 2 parts, assessment for learning and assessment of learning. We have seen that when we give a tech-based gamification assessment, the students take more interest of it. For example, time to climb in Nearpod, when we use, students are engaged in groups and they start working with more enthusiasm than when we give them a worksheet. But analysis of that has shown that many low achievers, they take their luck. They only like guess which is A is correct, B is correct, so to keep up with the time and climb up the hill. So there also we have to go for deep thinking and ask them how to read the question and time the time to climb in a proper way, so that assessment for learning is achieved. Now, how does teacher intervene will be told by Khushi.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am,
intervene. Yes.
Yeah, ma'am.
Khushi?
Yeah, ma'am, I'm there, ma'am. Is it audible, ma'am?
Yes.
Yeah, you are audible.
Yeah. Intervention, like it refers to planned and structured action and strategy, ma'am. So when we are doing some activity, either we will make them to do alone, or either we will pair up, or we will do it in a group activity. So how it will affect them? Like when we make them to do individually, it is like learning alone means that the students will think more deeply about their personal experiences and connect them to the topic. When we make them to work in groups, so they're like 50%, like few students will like give more ideas and take the ideas, the others may be not giving the ideas. So the sharing of the viewpoints will be in like maybe or may not be 100%. So here overall impact is like students will enjoy group work more than like alone, found it in more. The study has shown that the fun and interactive activities help students learn better and enjoy their classes. So we should include both. It should be alone and it should be group.
There should be an individual participation in the group activity, in order to facilitate active
ma'am.
learning. Yeah. Okay. So I think you've got the gist. Any questions here? Because this is what we will be following throughout this course, active learning with constructivism, so that you should have a clear understanding of what is active learning. Okay. Now, the last part of the day session is related to metacognition, because metacognition is a part of active learning. If active, remember all these are loops. If active learning is happening, constructivism is happening. If they are creating their own experiences and idea, that means cognition is happening, metacognition is happening. So it's a loop. So what is metacognition? Already I've shared with you the metacognition article. So here are 3 statements that are given in your module guide. So I've taken from the module guide. The reason for this is that research shows that learning is not one entity or skill, but range of learning practices or competency that enhances students' capacity to learn. This is first statement. Second statement is these competencies suggest that learning is not something that can be simply be done to students by teachers, but requires students to actively participate in their learning. Last one, to do this, they need to think how they think in order to learn more effectively. Now, please read that article. Okay, connect with your classroom and take one statement from these 3 statements and give an example and substantiate your statements. You've understood? Connect it with an example. Connect any one of the statement with metacognition and an example. I'm sharing this with you. You can take this. Share it here also. Please note, you will have to tell it as an example. I'm not asking what is metacognition. I'm asking related to the 3 statements. Relate metacognition to those 3 statements and substantiate with an example. Can you substantiate with an example?
Ma'am, I want to talk about the third statement. To do
Yes,
this,
please.
they need to think about how they think in order to learn more effectively. So one example I can take when we are going with the topic enzymes in the classroom, we'll take example of any particular enzyme like catalase or amylase, like that. One example we'll take, and we will give like how the enzyme act on the substrate and how the products will be formed. So at that time, the learners can think about more enzymes which are present in our body every day, our like about the metabolic process in our body and how do all the enzymes will work in our body. So it should not be limited to the particular enzyme which I'm giving an example. They should think more about the enzymes which are there in our body and they can do some research about this. So self-learning, like what all the enzymes.
Chaitanya, I'm stopping you, pausing you.
Yes, ma'am.
It is not about students doing research. Please understand the statement. Why do we say metacognition is important? Because it is not a single entity. It is a connection of skill or learning practices or competency that enhances students' learning. So you have to connect with an example and talk about the skills and competencies that you will be asking your students to develop. So, or you realize that your students develop when they are applying metacognition.
Okay, ma'am. 2 minutes. I will do that again.
Yeah, sure. Yes, Alicia.
Yes, ma'am. I'm taking the second point. These competencies suggest that learning is not something that simply be done by the student, require the students to actively participate. So I'm taking this to support one of the situations, ma'am. There was this topic called persuasive text where I have given the students a lot of examples. How do we persuade the people? How the catchy phrases have been used and how do we have to use this and all. And the real game has started when the student have to involve. First they were for some time they were all blank. Ma'am, suddenly they're smaller children. They can't actually go and sell something. They can't actually persuade something. So I have taken few examples. I have given, I have given some knowledge about it. So they started relating. So this is the example ma'am gave. So how should I convert into my example? So how should I persuade the other person? So I guess that is how the active participation has made them understand the concept completely. So otherwise, that is just the language role will not be, possible.
Yeah. So you're talking about the role play that you have enacted in your classroom.
Yes, ma'am. Kind of that. They have to. Yes, yes.
Okay. So you're saying that they require active participation. So what were the competencies that you were targeting?
Persuasion was the major outcome, ma'am. How they have to persuade the other person to buy something.
Persuasion. Okay,
persuasion.
Right.
So that was my major expectation from them. And the second one was how well they are using the vocabulary, whichever yes.
Yeah, got it, Alicia. Yes, that was good. Yes, Shravanti.
Yeah, ma'am, as I was dealing with the pre-primary children, like each child have a different way of learning. Like we have to focus on the cognitive, social, and emotional and physical also skills. Each one will be having a different way of learning. So we should plan the activities accordingly. So like when it comes to shapes, no ma'am, like when I thought of introducing the shapes or teaching the shapes, like there are different activities where we need to focus on different type of learning children. Like the first one, like we can ask the children to set the blocks with different shapes and make a pyramid or a tower with only triangles, only squares, so that children will make the groups and build it like a cognitive way, how to build it, how to sort out the only triangles or how to sort out only the square, where the child who is good in the cognitive way of thinking, problem solving, we can do it. Whereas children who are very good with the social and emotional, like they do very good when they are in groups, ma'am. They share their knowledge and then they do it. Like those children, what I do, the same activity, I'll make them to pair in groups, find out the shapes around the classroom or here and there, so that they'll get to know where the shapes are, identify the shapes, and then make it as a tower. But few children
How is metacognition applied there, ma'am? Shravanti.
Thinking, no, ma'am. The shapes they were they are able to know where the shape of the circle is, where it is. Identify from the group of thing, right? Apply them. Like I can give a few clues. Like children, Circle means a clock shape, how the clock will be circle
Now,
clock.
is it only thinking that comes under cognition? No, you understood why I'm asking this activity. It is coming under cognition. Where is metacognition in that? You have actually done metacognition, but I want you to recognize that you are doing metacognition.
Ma'am, the child is able to think, no, ma'am, like they are able to recollect the shapes
Yes.
and then do it from the group of shapes.
How
Right?
did they recollect the shapes? Now remember, thinking about thinking. So how did they recollect the shapes?
Ma'am, when we used to say in the class, so when we give the option, like see children look around us in the classroom, which is rectangle in shape, which is triangle in shape.
How did they? Now again, you're going to individual. Now see, you have asked about shapes. Okay. So you give an object, think about what does first the child think about. Directly they'll say this is square, this is rectangle. How do they connect it?
No, with the sides and corners, they
What is
connect.
that? What is that? Properties,
Critical
isn't
thinking.
it?
It's
they properties, ma'am. Properties,
yes,
we call it.
Yeah, properties
Okay.
of this.
So you are actually asking them to think on the properties, and now you are applying that thinking to whatever they are observing. So double thinking is happening.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So
Yes.
that is actually your metacognition that is happening in your class. Got it? You told it rightly, but I want you to connect it. Now, why I emphasized on that is Alicia who was the first person? Shravan, Chaitanya. Chaitanya, now you can see the connection, the reason, the first statement.
Yes, ma'am.
A range of learning practices or competencies. So here all the properties they should recall and then link it with what they are observing.
Yes,
Can you
ma'am.
relate it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is the example that we are looking at. Got
Okay,
it,
ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you, Shravan.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, Neelam, ma'am.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I will go with the second sentence. These competencies suggest that learning is not something that simply can be done to students by teachers, but requires students to actively participate in their learning. I was taking like digestive system where I have done an activity of chewing the bread for some time and testing for starch. So students learned that saliva helps in the digestion of starch. Then there are different glands. So I gave them one activity to see what are the different glands present in our digestive system and what are the different digestive juices which they secrete. So in their textbook, there are few things and I have already given them notes for reference. So all of them have learned about what are the juices present, but the liver, the bile juice was not present in their textbook, but I had given them the notes for it. So I have already instructed them to refer whatever resources I have given you and do it. So there was one group who was given about liver and they just went through the textbook and they just related activity and they started answering. But when I asked which organ, which digestive juice helps in the digestion of fat, and from where does it come from, so they were unable to answer because they were just focusing on the textbook part of the learning. So they did not relate. There is a gland called liver which secretes bile and it helps in the digestion of fat. So they did not relate to it because they did not refer different resources which was provided to them. So then I asked, like, when you want to learn something, you have to relate and you have to search and see everything what is given to you, not just stick to one part of the whatever is given to you, just the textbook, because they basically depend on the activity and the textbook. They don't refer notes. So there I told, okay, whatever information is available, you will be using all those information, not sticking to one particular information what is prescribed to you. So that's how they reflected, right? Like, if this is a part of the digestive system, I should know about it.
Okay, now my question here is, what competencies were you targeting that the student should independently develop? You had covered it, but it is not related to the curriculum. It is related to a learning practice. What competency did you target?
Ma'am, doing research about a particular component of digestive system and knowing more about it through referring to different.
But you had already given them notes, no? They need not do
And
research,
they're
but
grade
there is
5.
something. What were they actually doing?
Ma'am, they were actually reading all the glands and what are the digestive juices and like how saliva is secreted, like that, what are the different juices which.
I understood that part, Neelam. Now my question is, what part were they missing and what guidance did you or what scaffolding did you provide so that metacognitively they will react? See, it need not be always correct. Something your students made as a mistake, isn't it? Their thought process did not align. So why did they think like that? That it will be available in the textbook. Why did they think?
Because that is what everybody were doing. They were opening the textbook and started to read. Even if the information was not available there, they did not think that for this gland, I should refer something else to understand.
Very good. That is what I was looking at. The competency of using all the available resources in order to find the proper solution. So it is an aspect of problem solving.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, got it, ma'am. But it's a life skill. It is not in the curriculum wise. It's a life skill that you had asked them to look forward for. Got it, ma'am? How you have to connect it. See, everything that you have do in the class will have a linking up. But how you think and present it, that is what is more important. Understood, ma'am?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, Saujanya.
Yes, ma'am. I'll just briefly explain this.
Sure.
If I have to pick a student to go ahead with the persuasive essay, the ultimate goal of this essay is to present a clear and compelling argument. So here, the student, if I pick a student to do this task of writing a persuasive essay, instead of just following the template or copying the examples, student uses the metacognitive strategies here to enhance his or her writing.
How?
He or she actively engages with the task by reflecting on their understanding of persuasive writing and evaluating his or her own
Again,
approach.
Saujanya, how?
Planning.
You're saying reflecting how? See, in order to think about thinking, you should have already given something to think now.
Correct.
So
Here,
what was that?
When I've given them the persuasive essay, when they have to present to the entire class, they'll definitely brainstorm and organize their ideas about the pros and cons of this school uniforms, creates outline of his essay. Outline of the essay.
Did you give a structure for that?
Template and copy templates were given, but still, if they have to present a specific topic to
No,
the
that
entire class,
leave it off. See, you want a persuasive essay. Now you have given a structure, right?
Correct.
Then you said about a given topic, write a persuasive essay.
Yes. And they have to
Okay.
present it to the entire class.
Now you relate and think how your persuasive essay is connected to the structure. You have given a structure. Let us say introduction,
Yes.
your whatever is the sales
The template was given.
that
Yes.
they have to do, how convincing their argument is. So these are the steps that you will be doing for a persuasion.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Now, when you've given a topic, how are your students? Remember, the structure is already there.
Yes.
Okay, so basic thought process happens. How is your essay topic thought in relation with this? There is an overlapping, isn't it? This is one thought to another thought that is already given. This becomes metacognition. You
Yes,
understood,
yes,
Saujanya?
yes,
You
ma'am.
want further clarity?
No, I understood, ma'am. Here, I'm just trying to say about the pros and cons of the school uniforms here. Because a student definitely plans when he is about to present in the entire class, he definitely will have a plan of his own topic.
See, that comes under cognition, Saujanya. What I am saying is,
Yes.
see, I think it was Manjari said that she, remember, a structure is given when a writing is given.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that is a general structure that is given. Okay, but now you give a topic.
Yeah.
When you give a topic, now remember this topic, how they connect it with the structure becomes metacognition.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that is where metacognition happens.
Okay.
If you have not given the structure, you have only directly asked them to write and present it, it comes under cognition only.
Yeah.
Got it?
Yes, got it.
Yes? Yeah. Yeah. Yes, Sinduri.
Yes, ma'am. I want to explain, correct me if I'm wrong, ma'am. So
Yes.
initially, I have explained about the usage of verbs in the sentences. So they know that the students understood that verbs acts as an action word. And also, there will be few sentences which will be giving an information also. Verbs can act as the connectivity for giving information also. And then I have explained all the helping verbs, ma'am, auxiliary verbs, all the types of auxiliary verbs. And then like divided the class into groups and gave an individual exercise for them to identify the verbs from there. So there the students have themselves made a mind map for there. And while making the mind map, while relating the mind map with the questions in the exercise, they understood that helping verbs only doesn't act as a helping verb. They sometimes act as a main verb when the sentence reflects as an information. So I am talking about the last statement which you have provided. It is about thinking about what they think. So
how they think is
how
more
they
important.
think.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So you have already given the structure, then the exercise. So then it comes
Yes.
metacognition. Very
Yes.
good. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, Ravanti. 1 minute, Ravanti. I'll go with Champa, ma'am, because yours is second chance. Others, please, you can clarify in case you have doubt, because this area, I know many of you will get stuck. Okay? Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Champa.
So, ma'am, if we have to say cognition and metacognition, today we have learned through many documents and many concepts, and we are trying to think how to link it with an experience we had in our own teaching process. That is again metacognition, because we are thinking that particular event.
Yes.
Where we are going through the text that you have shared, dividing the numbers into chunks, we had a huge success of this abacus which came up, where students could solve complex numbers and come to a conclusion very soon. So when we investigated into the thing, they were teaching how to put the numbers into chunks and then solve it. So these were some of the things that where metacognition was facilitated through a process of Vedic maths or abacus. Now, when a cognition happens, we give the keywords in a classroom and the student puts it in a passage or a story writing, as Manjari is telling. How they play with the words and present a good passage or a story is metacognition.
Yes, that is true. That's true. Correct, correct. I know, Manjari, actually, when you talk of Bloom's taxonomy, it is levels of cognition.
Okay. No, but what about identify, analyze? These are not...
Analyzing, yes, analyzing comes under. Not application, analyze. Then your evaluation comes under, yes, metacognition, because they have to make a judgment.
Synthesis comes under metacognition.
Metacognition.
Okay,
Which
okay.
one?
Synthesis.
Synthesis comes under metacognition.
Okay.
Yes.
So the text says that there are various levels through which a student proceeds from a cognition level to the metacognition level, like tacit, avert, strategic, and reflective. So I think the best way the student goes to a metacognition level is by teaching his peers. So he finds out that where he has gone wrong in his understanding and the peer is not understanding his concept. So there he goes to the reflective part, that is the last level of metacognition. So these are the various things that I felt I could share from the text that I've gone through today.
Very nice, ma'am. Very nice. See, when that is why, we keep asking you, do you have any questions? Do you have any questions? Remember, if you ask questions, you understand better.
Yes.
Okay. And to tell you frankly, the person who is teaching also will get a better clarity when you ask more contradicting questions.
Yes.
The clarity comes. That is the reason we ask you to share. Don't bother whether it's right or wrong, because no, that is how we learn. Yes. Okay. So I'll just share this week's homework, because if you will have to start this e-portfolio part, I will take it next week. First part I'll do. So you can start writing your notes on the first part of EOL. Okay. Describe you have your key questions ready. So key questions, we have handled that. I'll show you the key questions so that you will have these are the key questions. So prepare your notes and keep it. Okay. Don't you need not share it with me. Together you can share it with me. I'll tell you the word limit then. Okay. You can prepare for 300 words. Make it as a paragraph and keep it ready. Describe your personal understanding of concept of learning and how people learn. Okay, so that's the first paragraph of your EOL that you will be writing. So you can write it and keep it ready. Okay, any questions you have, you can share, or we will complete the feedback. You can complete the feedback and you can share it. Okay.
Ma'am, while writing this EOL, whatever you have mentioned over here, do we have to take the reference of those the documents which you have?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so we have to refer those documents and quote it the way you have taught us the other
Yes,
day.
referencing you will have to start doing.
Okay,
Okay.
fine.
Yeah. You write for 300 words, leave some space and write your reference, because next 2 weeks also you will have some questions which you will be answering. Okay. So then it becomes the total document. So now you can collect your notes and you can keep the references ready. Okay, every week if you start writing, towards the end, 2-3 times you read, then only your document will become perfect. Okay. Yeah, I'm just going through Parveen's answer. I didn't. Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
Parveen, that's correct. Memorizing, instead of memorizing, they reread their notes, because when they reread, remember, first time they would have written with thinking, second time they will be rethinking on what they have written. So that becomes metacognition. Okay.
Okay.
You can
Okay.
easily think. Yes, Parveen?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm getting.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
there is a delayed this one. Okay.
Ma'am, this metacognition somehow linked with acquisition and participatory again?
Its cognition starts with acquisition and participatory. It turns into metacognition after some time.
Okay.
Metacognition immediately doesn't happen. For example, like how Shravanti told about shapes.
Yeah.
In LKG or UKG, they study different shapes based on the properties they identify. That is metacognition for them. But when they come into grade 1 and 2, if they are able to make shapes with them, okay, make objects with them, relating the properties, connecting the corners that they are able to do, then it is metacognition, because it's already embedded in them. They are now trying to make something new. Okay. For example, in higher levels, what happens? They say, 3x is equal to something. If you have to find out, okay, a student is following a certain steps. Okay, it's already structured in him that these steps, one after another, he has to follow to solve that equation. Then metacognition is happening in.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions you have? Any other questions? So today's you're clear. Today it is basic theories, active learning, constructivism, acquisition, participatory model, and about metacognition. Okay. So if everything is fine, then we can call it a day. Next week, first we will start with e-portfolio, then go with LOB. Yes? Yeah. Okay then.
Thank you,
Okay
ma'am.
then. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye,
Thank you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am. Sridevi ma'am, regarding, sorry, Sudha ma'am. I'll just, please check ma'am, like the second topic, right? It's not a single entity that learning is not a single entity. Can I
No.
just put an example to it?
Yes,
Like,
please. Yes, yes.
ma'am, it's not in this year. We did not start the animals, but last year till last year, right? When we introduced the learning about the animals, instead of directly pitching into the topic like me telling these are the different types. First, we have an introduction of animals, different types of animals, and then we go with the detail of each type of animals. So what we do, we take the children to the nature walk outside, just to the park or the nearby, and then I will ask them to look into different types of animals, what they see. Look up, look around yourself, what you can see. And then once they get into the class, we ask them like, what are the animals you have seen here? Are they looking the same? So they have their own perspective of like, ma'am, I saw a bird, I saw butterfly, I saw ant when they go to the park, or when we are going on the road, I saw a dog. So different types of animals. And when they, before we explain that there are different types of animals, no, children will be telling them that these are the different animals. So why? Are they looking the same? No, ma'am. They have wings. Birds have wings, ma'am. But dog doesn't have. Dog has 4 legs. So this make them to think. Is it? It comes under metacognition.
Yes, yes, that is correct. Because see, they are able to recognize two different species also with the commonality of wings.
Even
So they
butterfly also.
ah,
Even
so
butterfly,
that
then why you won't call it as a bird means no, ma'am. They have small wings. These have big wings. So they connect with what they saw. So that's the reason they are not called as birds, means they fly up into the sky. Where we use a rhyme before, right? We say the blue, blue sky. When we sing the rhyme, they connect with these two, and then, ma'am, butterfly has small wings, no? So they can't fly up into the sky. So they are called as different. They are not birds. So when they connect, is it a metacognition?
yes, that is what is metacognition. When you are giving something specific, but they are able to take it to a broader term and talk, then it is metacognition that is happening.
So this we did not do it like before we have started. I mean, we have explained the topic before. It's a prior knowledge, like observation through observation. It has done. So with the child, though we are not introducing the topic, through their observation, they are able to learn.
Okay. But remember, that is something that they have learned somewhere at home or parents would have told. Now that is connected to what is happening in the class. Then it is metacognition that is happening.
Oh, yeah, ma'am. So this also comes under the second one,
yes,
right?
Yes. First one, the reason. It's a range of learning practices or competencies that enhance the student's capacity to learn.
But it's not a single entity. Each one will not be explaining the same way, right, no, ma'am? They have,
yeah,
they go.
See, but is it not connected and it is bringing a list of competencies that they are learning? They are able to connect wings with birds, small wings with insects. So that means, no, it's bringing a lot of competencies. Yes, they have actively participated because they are experiencing.
Okay.
Okay. That's it. So when you're saying observation also, it is how they think when they are observing. So all the three is actually interlinked.
Okay, okay, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. Yeah. Bye, ma'am.
Bye.
Ma'am, you take care. You're not well also.
Yeah, actually with the medicine, no?